All right. With that, I will introduce Dylan Ordoñez, SVP of External Affairs. He is with the local organizing committee here, working on all things World Cup. So, Dylan, if you want to unmute and turn on your camera, I am ready to click through your presentation.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Lee, and thank you, Lynnette, the Chamber, for having me here today. And thank you all for taking the time to learn a little bit more about next year, FIFA Men's World Cup coming to Seattle, and also to hear about some observations and takeaways from the recent Club World Cup that happened here in Seattle. So again, Dylan Ordoñez with the Seattle FIFA World Cup Local Organizing Committee. We are the local nonprofit that has been created to plan and execute our responsibility as a host city for the 2026 Men's World Cup. So we are not FIFA, but we work with FIFA. We work with our partners in community, facilities, government, et cetera, to help make sure that we're going to be delivering an amazing event for all the people that will be here next year. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Before we get started, I just want to do a quick primer on, again, who we are. There's a few different lanes people, as well as what the 2026 World Cup is to make sure everybody's aware, and then how that compares to what just happened a couple months ago. So big FIFA World Cup 26, they are the entity that is responsible for running the games, running the tournament. And coordination across the continent. The United States is hosting jointly next year with Mexico and Canada. And so FIFA is responsible for the tournament, running everything inside the stadium footprint, secure perimeter. That's all FIFA. We are Seattle FWC 26. Again, we're the local organizing committee. We're the lead for local planning, non-FIFA logistics, activations, fundraising, and ensuring our local values are reflected in the event next year. We work with our partners in government who will provide typical government services, and our partners and vendors like the venue, FGI, and others. Next slide, please. So our vision is to foster a lasting legacy for our region, guided by the spirit of soccer, innovation, and inclusion. We are very excited that we're hosting 6 matches next year. For this historic occasion of Seattle being a host city for a World Cup for the very first time. But if at the end of the day we've just hosted 6 matches and that's it, we feel that we will have failed. We want to use this moment of global focus to make lasting progress and leave a strong legacy for our children. For today's children, what will they remember in 20 years? What legacies do we leave behind? So we're really focused on that as a goal of ours. Next slide, please. So World Cup 26 at a glance. It is a 39-day tournament. It will kick off on June 11th in Mexico City, and it will conclude on July 19th with the final taking place in New York, New Jersey. There are 16 host cities. It's the first time ever that it will happen in 3 countries. This is like the polar opposite of Men's World Cup 2022 in Qatar, where all of the matches were, generally concentrated in an urban area. This is across an entire continent. So huge undertaking. On top of that, the tournament is expanding from 32 nations to 48 nations. So it will be the largest sporting event ever held with 104 matches. Over 3 billion viewers projected for just the final. In Seattle, we will be hosting 6 matches. We have 4 group stage on June 15th, 19th, 24th, and 26th, and then 2 knockout rounds. We have a round of 32 match on July 1st, as well as a round of 16 match on July 6th. So those are going to be amazing, spectacular matches. Hopefully all of them will be, depending on who we get in the draw this December. But certainly those knockout rounds are going to be pretty incredible. I also want to highlight that the United States men's national team will be playing here on Juneteenth. So on the June 19th match, we will have the tremendous opportunity and privilege of hosting our United States men's national team. We're one of only 2 cities guaranteed to have the home team here, the other being Los Angeles, because that's where they're base camped. Jumped over one of the bullets here. Yeah, we're 294 days away until kickoff. Nobody's counting, but that's a lot fewer days than there used to be when you're planning a global party and going to be welcoming the world to Washington and having the opportunity to show Washington to the world. With our 6 matches, we're expecting at minimum 2 billion global viewers. The least watched World Cup match, the 2 teams that absolutely will not make it out of group stage, has a global viewership of over 200 million. And in comparison, last year's Super Bowl, I think, had a global viewership of just under 125 million. So we're talking big numbers here and huge opportunity to show Seattle to the world. Next slide, please. So just to be very clear, we came up with this incredibly scientific slide to highlight the difference between Club World Cup and FIFA World Cup men's next year. So they're both FIFA events. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. But what happened this summer was not it was not our events. Seattle FWC 26 was not involved in the planning and execution of that. That was FIFA in coordination with FGI, First and Goal Inc., who runs the stadium here, as well as the Sounders. So the Club World Cup happened in June into July, 6 matches at Lumen Field, and there were clubs, 32 teams from the best clubs across 6 continental confederations. So this tournament has happened for at least the past 20 years. And each confederation's champion played in a very, very small tournament. So it was 6, and I think there was a wild card. So I think it was 6 or 7 teams that would play. Very small tournament to determine the best club in the world. FIFA had the concept of expanding that to more clubs, and that's where we came to the Club World Cup 2025, which it was an amazing tournament, and I think a tremendous opportunity for the players and certainly for our Seattle Sounders. So the attendance range was around the average of a Sounders match to a full Seahawks game. There were no other activations, and only ticketed fans in. So next year's World Cup, again, nations. We have countries playing. There'll be 48 teams represented, and the men's national team will participate. Again, world's largest spectator event, orders of magnitude larger than the Super Bowl and Olympics. We'll have activations across the state with our fan zones. And we could have as many non-ticketed fans as ticketed fans for our 6 matches. So you can pick your analogy. We're hosting 6 Super Bowls or 6 Taylor Swift concerts, but it's going to be more than that, because non-ticketed fans, people will come here to be a part of a World Cup host city, even though they don't have a ticket. They want to be in that environment. They want to have that experience. So incredibly exciting opportunity for us. Next slide, please. So I'll touch on some of the learnings from what we observed during this experience. Overall, it was an excellent opportunity to do a test run with FIFA, right? FGI and other stakeholders with regard to how next year's tournament could be run. So that was incredibly valuable for us. It was exciting to see so many traveling fans, and traveling fans for nations could be colossal, depending on which nations will be playing here. And fans seem to have a fun, safe, and enjoyable experience, which is encouraging for next year. And while they lost all 3 of their matches, we're grateful that the Sounders played with heart, with intensity, never gave up. They lost to 2-0 to Paris Saint-Germain. They just won the Euro Leagues, Euro Cup. So we lost 2-0 to the best team in the world. And even though we didn't advance, I think our club got some incredible experience and exposure, and learned some lessons that they're carrying with them now through the rest of their Leagues Cup tournament and MLS campaign for this season. Operational improvements, stadium entry. The secure perimeter that existed for the Club World Cup funneled fans into the stadium via the north gates, and that was it. So it created quite a bottleneck, unlike a Sounders or a Seahawks game where there are multiple gates open to the stadium. So while we understand the logic of why FIFA would want to kind of funnel everybody to one entrance, we continue to discuss with them the benefits of opening additional gates. So if this issue, if it's not resolved, that issue will be amplified next year. But that was one big takeaway. It was noticeable because you had fans who arrived on time. And I don't know, 20, 30 minutes into the match, they were still making their way into the stadium because there was just this incredible bottleneck there. So that was one observation. Another is that signage was all right, but it could have been better. So we want to work with our partners at FIFA and others locally to ensure that visitors will have ample, accurate wayfinding to and from the stadium. And then there were some other issues like the stadium cups, ironing out process for credentials, and ensuring all fans are familiar with the clear bag policy and other things. So again, really good dry run to kind of daylight some of these issues and work with FIFA and our other partners to ensure a smooth operation next year. International fans. It was amazing that so many international fans showed up for the Club World Cup. So we want to ensure that the city and region is prepared for any fan or supporter group activities, wherever they may be taking place. So we'll be working with FIFA and others on ensuring sharing of intelligence when it's shared, where we know where there's likely to be a large cluster of fans, just for our awareness. And so, for example, SPD can be aware and have a presence if necessary, because some of these traveling fans groups can be in the thousands. So it could be really tremendous, again, depending on which nations are here. So I'll pause for a moment because I've referenced this a couple of times just for folks' awareness. We don't yet know which teams will be playing here in Seattle. This December, FIFA will be doing an event called the Draw, and that will be where I don't know if they will actually have like the big kind of lottery sphere contraption where they're rolling the crank and whichever ball comes out, that goes into Group A, Match 2. But it's where they will determine which teams play in which cities and at which time. So it's going to be one of the last big operational puzzle pieces that will fall into place that will help us make better assumptions about a number of things, including traveling fans. And one thing that I'm particularly excited for is if any of our communities here in Seattle, King County, or across the state of Washington have close ties with nations that will be playing here that are going to be really excited that that their home nation's playing. So really excited for the draw. We will know the 8 teams because, again, we have 4 group stage matches. We won't know who's playing in the knockout rounds until the tournament begins. So also back to the debrief and learnings. Need more restrooms. There were too few and lines were long. So we want to work to ensure to the extent possible that there are enough publicly available restrooms for traveling and local fans. The daytime matches, the noon start times, it's been a thing that we've been thinking about could be a major impact to our transportation system, as it could impact the morning and the evening commute. But seeing it happen in parallel with strong efforts by the business partners to have events and entertainment marketed towards fans showed that it's actually a great way to get fans to stay in the neighborhoods longer, both before and after the games. So understand that there will be more people here next year, but it was an interesting observation for something that was on our radar as a potential concern. Viewing parties. Everyone's excited for next summer, and we'll be doing what they can to plan or their own event or find out where they can watch the matches with folks. So there are viewing parties hosted in a number of different places around the area, Redmond, some Seattle City parks, and they were all generally met favorably. So understand that there will be a lot of interest in that. And I think that's one of the most special parts of World Cups in general. They bring people together. And I remember some of my most fond memories of prior World Cups is watching them in obscure places, bars, alleys, wherever people set up a TV. Some of those might not be official watch parties, but people do what they can to bring the world's game and bring people together. So next slide, please. I've mentioned fan zones. I just want to give folks a visual of where we will be across the state. We have partnered with 9 areas: Bellingham, Everett, Bremerton, Tacoma, Olympia, Lacey, Vancouver, Yakima, Tri-Cities, and Spokane for what we're calling fan zones. They are the leads for these events, but we're partnering with them to do what we can to ensure as many folks as possible have access to this amazing historic experience, understanding that soccer is a significant part of our state's culture and history. Really want to do what we can to ensure that statewide viewing experience. We have University of Washington and Seattle University as our practice fields for visiting teams. So next year, if a team's playing at Lumen, this is where they will fly in match day -2, match day -1, and that's where they'll practice. We also have submitted Renton and the Sounders facility in Renton, as well as Gonzaga out in Spokane as potential team base camps. This is where team will live for group stage, arriving in the area potentially as early as mid to late May to get acclimated before the tournament begins. And so this will be a team's home away from home. And we're very excited that we have these two facilities on the menu. It doesn't necessarily guarantee that they'll be selected, but they're on the menu. And, you know, they're both world-class. And, you know, Washington has some pretty good weather in June, as opposed to, you know, Miami, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas. So I feel like we have a potential to get some really good interest in these base camps and maybe have a high caliber teams calling these places in the state of Washington home for the tournament. So we'll see which gets selected. Next slide, please. So sorry for the graphics on this one being a little bit off. Touched on this, I think, a little bit before. We don't know what time the matches will start. We don't have any confirmation, but our assumption is that our matches will take place between noon and 7 p.m. with the international broadcast. We're assuming that they'll want to catch, you know, as much of a global market as possible. So this window for Pacific Coast time, we think, is where they will land. Again, not sure. We're expecting up to 750,000 visitors over the 3 weeks here through the state of Washington, primarily concentrated in Central Puget Sound. And at least I think around 50% of those are projected to be international. So tremendous numbers of folks coming into town, coming in to see Washington State, and their average stay, which is cut off at the bottom, is 9 days. This is their vacation. This is not, you know, they're not coming for one match and then going home. They're going to be here. They want to stay. They want to explore the area. You know, so I think it's a great opportunity for visitors to explore the state. Our neighbors to the north in Vancouver, BC, they're hosting 7 matches. So in our Cascadia corner, we have 13 matches next year. And so incredible opportunity for fans to go back and forth. Bellingham and Everett are incredibly excited and simultaneously a little bit terrified at the amount of traffic that they may see. But they're planning some tremendous fan zones up there and other ways to draw folks in. Next slide, please. Touched on this a little bit. Our partners at Visit Seattle at the end of last year released a preliminary economic impact, projecting just under $1 billion of total economic impact, supporting nearly 21,000 jobs and generating over $100 million in state and local taxes. So again, this is the world's game and the largest tournament of that coming to Seattle, coming to the state of Washington. So these numbers are incredible, and we're very grateful to have this opportunity to host the World Cup for the first time. Next slide, please. We are developing 3 playbooks, a watch party playbook with our partners at the Seattle Sports Commission, a branding playbook with our partners at Visit Seattle, and a small business playbook with our partners here at the Seattle Metro Chamber of Commerce. And so the watch party playbook will help organizations navigate the rules and best practices for hosting a public viewing party. Bars and restaurants that already have Fox and Telemundo won't need to apply for a watch party license, a viewing license, because they already have they already have that through their subscriptions. The community branding playbook is going to provide everybody customizable digital marketing assets, kind of a third-party brand, and rules to also avoid any issues with FIFA. So we're excited for that one to come out in next month. And then our small business playbook, we're very excited about as well, which will provide information, guidance, case studies, strategies to help small businesses prepare, determine if and how best to prepare for activities next year. Next slide, please. A little bit on the intellectual property, and this will be, I think, touched on in the branding playbook. And again, apologies, I don't know why the formatting is off here a little bit. Essentially, FIFA is fiercely protective of their IP. So whenever you're doing anything commercial facing or outward facing, public facing, please remember you cannot use FIFA World Cup, FIFA World Cup 26, etc., and a number of variations, because those are all trademarked by FIFA. So instead, you can use generic but related terms like 2026, the world's game, Seattle soccer summer, welcoming the world, etc. So again, visit Seattle's developing that branding playbook that'll have more details. Next slide, please. Milestones ahead. FIFA just launched their volunteer program last week. You may have seen some coverage of that on social media and other places. September 10th is the first day that fans can apply for tickets. If that is of interest, please go to scan this QR code or go to the tournament website and sign up. I believe it's some kind of lottery, but clearly tons of interest in tickets. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have the draw with our neat little graphic there, where we will learn the teams and the times. So again, that will provide some clarity on our planning assumptions. So we're very excited to learn after many years which nations will be playing here. 100 days out next year, we'll have some activities TBD for now, but that after the draw, that's going to be kind of the next big time frame, is 100 days out from the tournament. So stay tuned for more there. And then, in late May, early June, we'll be welcoming teams here. So those are some of the milestones ahead. I can't believe that it's 2025. I was there when FIFA announced host cities back, I think it was June 16th, 2022. I had the opportunity to work on the bid process in my time prior to joining the staff here at Seattle FWC 26, and then even in my time at King County previously, working with the Sounders and other local stakeholders on the bid process, going, I think, starting back in 2017. So it has been a long road, and just so incredibly excited that we are where we are, and we're less than a year, and more people are tuning in and realizing, oh, hey, this thing's happening. I want to learn more about it. And so very grateful again to the Seattle Chamber for hosting this webinar today and inviting me to speak. And I guess I will add also, just in the chat, if you are aware of any other organizations or folks that would benefit from a similar type of presentation, please let me know. Can't guarantee that we can make it happen anytime in the near future. I have a lot of stuff in the queue, but part of my job running external affairs is making sure that as many folks as possible know about what's happening. So I want to try to catalog this wherever there's interest. So please feel free to drop that in the chat if you're able. That's the conclusion of my presentation. Lynnette, turn it back over to you. This is our World Cup host city poster. I will chime in and say that every host city had the opportunity to have some type of contest to determine which local artists would have the privilege of developing the host city poster. And we had, I think, 42 submissions. And this was the one that rose to the top. It's by Shogo Ota, and it is just beautiful. And it really captures the spirit of the Northwest, the spirit of Seattle, the Salish Sea, Puget Sound, and soccer. And it is no surprise to any of us that it is by far the leading poster or leading the sales of posters. I think by at least a magnitude of two for all of the host cities posters. So we're super excited about that. So yeah, thank you so much. And Lynnette, we'll turn it back over to you.
Yep. So we'll get into the Q&A here shortly. Again, please drop your questions in there and I will moderate them. Already seeing some trends, but I thought it would be also good to just give a quick briefing on what the chamber's doing so we can uh, answer questions together or whatnot. So I think many of you have heard me talk about our what we call our World Cup Ready activity. We do have a website, and on that website, and we will put all these links in the chat once I'm done talking because I can't do two things at the same time. But we have a website that has a lot of information on it. It is where the recordings for these webinars live, and so we have a very, very high replay rate, even the webinar we did almost a year ago. So that this is a great place for that. But we also have this really great knowledge manager, an AI knowledge manager. I call it our little goat that we feed information to and it can spit it back out to us, but it is exclusive to the Seattle Games. So businesses and interested parties can search trusted information that is relevant to us and maybe not a game 10 years ago or in another city. So we are still feeding that little AI bot, but we encourage you to use it. You can also, depending on what type of organization you are, you can also drive people to our site as a resource and not feel like you need to stand something up on your own. At the very bottom of that web page is the ability to sign up for a newsletter. I saw the LOC has a newsletter as well. This is going to be a lot of newsletters in this space, and they will all probably disappear in a year from less than a year from now. But please sign up for these newsletters. It's a great way to share information. Also in that knowledge manager, really key thing is it has translation services. So again, if you're a party that might be producing resources for the business community and the employer community around the World Cup, you can send that over to us and we can feed it into the bot and then have it translated. But as we collect information to put in there, it will be translated into Spanish, Vietnamese, Russian, Somali, and Chinese. So there are some places for that. We also take these recordings and put them in as well. We do have an upcoming webinar in September. We will have Expedia co-present with Visit Spokane to talk about traveler and visitor behavior. We thought it was really important, since this is a statewide effort, to feature a non-game city and what they're doing to activate, what they're doing to build partnerships, and really ensure that these fan fests are for the residents as much as they are for the tourists. So again, this is part of the legacy in activating and creating great community celebrations. And then the last thing I'll talk about in my section is there's grants, there's King County activation grants that are referenced at the bottom of the website that I mentioned. And these links Lee is putting in the chat. There are grants for folks to apply for some funds, thanks to King County, to apply for some grants for activation. And the details of those grants are outlined on that website. So I wanted to give that large range view of things, and then we'll get into the Q&A. So if Lee can put Dylan and I side by side, so it's not this floating head on top of me, we will get into it. Hottest question out of the Q&A is a little bit of confusion on the Watch Party Playbook. The slide mentioned July of 25 release. I think I think it's getting pushed out a little bit. Do you have any clarity on the update for the Watch Party Playbook?
So yes, it was supposed to be out in July, and I think just need a little bit more time and some more detail from FIFA that would be helpful, as opposed to pushing something out like stay tuned. So I think it's going to be out by next month, potentially by the end of this month, which I realize is next week. But
Yeah.
we know that there's pressure to get it out. We want to make sure folks have that information as soon as possible. We just want to make sure it's done in the right way and doesn't cause confusion or folks to have to come back for more. So apologies, that slipped by me. Didn't get to update that graphic.
You've had a lot of slide decks.
It's coming.
So it's okay. And the chamber will be hosting webinars for the playbook Dylan is referencing, and we'll be hosting a playbook for the Visit Seattle's branding as well. So stay tuned for that. All right, two real big meaty questions here. We have one acknowledging, thanking your work and strategy around this, but do you have any feedback on strategies to capitalize on economic development, business recruitment and expansion, and retention efforts? It was totally out of your control. Those empty seats at the Club World Cup were probably a lost opportunity for the region and state. So how can we capitalize on the fact 2 billion sets of eyeballs will be on our region? How can we make sure that we're capitalizing on that opportunity for business attraction, talent attraction, and things like that?
So Suzanne, thanks for the question. Yeah, the suites at Club World Cup and seats, that one is totally out of our control. That's everything that happens inside the stadium footprint. That's all FIFA. So we've shared that feedback with them, and I imagine they'll hear that feedback from other folks. But so I would encourage keep that issue, keep asking that question, because hopefully we'll see what happens for next year. On the economic development, business recruitment, expansion, retention efforts, I think that in the conversations that I've had with folks across the state, with organizers in fan zone areas, folks are really excited, and people in small businesses are organizing around capitalizing on this opportunity. So while it's not something that we are directly doing, it's something that we're seeing unfold as folks are preparing for an influx of visitors in the region. And so with that preparation will come, demand for additional employees or workforce. But I think it's going to be a fine line for folks to walk, understand that, after a previous large event, the All-Star game, there was some, absolutely legitimate concerns about expectations versus reality and what happened for some neighborhoods who are preparing. And so we've been really intentional about working with the neighborhoods surrounding the stadium and others to make sure that, for example, in the small business playbook, we're going to be providing information and tools that will help inform folks to make the best decision for them, if and how they want to prepare. So, I know this is a question that comes up, and we're all for ensuring that we have a robust workforce for the future. But we're seeing that happen in the conversations with our folks, with our partners across the state. So hopefully more to come on that.
Great.
Lynnette, do you have any perspective on that you might want to share?
No, I think I don't. I have nothing thoughtful right now. I have a bunch of ideas and things, percolating, but I think more to come on that and any type of collaboration. So yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about, aside from economic development is small business. I want to make sure we acknowledge that, making sure that our small businesses are healthy and thriving and taking advantage of this opportunity is really important as well. Okay, transportation plans. So when I did a poll back in November at our first webinar, we asked what people's hottest concerns were, and I predicted it was going to be public safety and transportation. I was proven insanely wrong. That was a lower priority a year ago. It's now upping a bit more, curiosities coming along. So what are the transportation plans, and how's the LOC working with the city and local transit organizations to prepare? I saw you were down in Pierce County with Pierce Transit yesterday too, so maybe this is great timing.
Yeah, no, very timely question. I was speaking at a Pierce Transit event yesterday. My colleague April was speaking at a transportation event, I think in SeaTac. So transportation is huge. It is critical to ensuring that our visitors and residents alike have a seamless experience next year. And so the LOC has been working for a very long time with all of our partners at the transit agencies, with WashDOT, with SDOT, and others to make sure that there's thoughtful, intentional planning, coordinated planning to make sure that we are meeting the bar that of excellence for all of these visitors and again our residents alike next year. So I don't know the specific details. April is our transportation guru, as Lynnette and others on this call, I'm assuming, know. But I do know that it's happening. It is a priority. That coordination is unfolding as we speak. And just give a huge shout out to our transportation transit agencies here, because they're all making this a priority. And particularly yesterday, Executive Mello was with Pierce Transit and the executive director there. And everybody shares the goal of making sure that transit is accessible, that it's frequent, and that folks are able to use it easily and get around. There's this idea of also having, just making fares more easily accessible as well. So more to come on that, but yes, there is a bunch of coordination happening, and everybody's rowing the same direction.
And the chamber is conceptualizing a webinar on transportation to include the airport, to include topics around the airport, the cruise terminal, and just transportation plans. So stay tuned. We're just making sure that when we recruit people to speak, that they're ready to speak on it, that it's baked enough, right? We don't want to have to tell the story in multiple editions. So, all right. So we have some good questions coming in. Let's talk about the international fans who may not speak English. How is the city or the LOC preparing to welcome them and ensuring that they know how to get on the stadium wayfinding? Yeah, I'll go with that, and then I have a follow-up on it too.
Yeah, so we're working with our partners at FIFA and with our partners here in the city to make sure that wayfinding is in multiple languages, and working with, Lynnette, you just mentioned the port. They are incredibly excited. They're going to be the focal point, right? This is going to be the first touch point for visitors. For many visitors is going to be SeaTac Airport. And this is absolutely a priority for them to ensure that they make folks feel welcome, that there's, again, signage and messaging that meets people where they're at. That is a not a task, but more of a philosophy that's kind of woven into what everybody's doing. And I know our partners at Visit Seattle are working on that as well. And Lynnette, I don't know if the chamber is also working on anything on this particular front, but I think we all have a shared desire to kind of roll out the welcome mat and make sure that we are thoughtful about the folks that are going to be coming here from all over the world. And again, once we know which nations are playing here, that will help inform a focus of that planning.
Yeah. Well, we may not be in the wayfinding space. We're really trying to make sure that our materials for our businesses, creating materials for our businesses that would help them be successful with international travelers as well. So last fall, I think we had a sustainability summit, and one of the joking comments was, how can we possibly expect international visitors to understand how we throw things away here? So, because we have a lot of bins, right? So, any touches on how we're communicating our sustainability goals with these games at all? Or is that ready for prime time?
So, I don't know the latest on specifics, but what I can tell you is that Lewin Field is already one of the leading examples of waste reduction and ensuring that as much of their products as possible are compostable. And they have an amazing process of waste collection and getting it out and making sure that the stadium is clean and prepared for the next round of visitors. So, Lynnette, I feel like there was an article or something, or some kind of great summary of that. And I'll see if I can find it and send it around. But that is absolutely something that we want to tout and make sure folks are aware of. So more to come, but we are ensuring that our partners out in community are aware of that desire to have, reduce waste as much as possible and have sustainable products.
Great. All right, and then I'm getting into a couple questions. As the most common question the chamber comes across, like thematically, is how can my business get plugged in some way, shape, or form to the World Cup or the LOC? So there's two questions here, and they're different. So we'll answer them separately. But what is the process for promoting or having the city sponsor consumer packaged goods made by Seattle natives for the visitors to our city? So how are Seattle-based products? Is there a process or a recommended process for promoting these products?
So I think that is something that we would be working on our partners with. Our prime function at the organizing committee is ensuring safety, security, making sure folks can move around, planning fan celebration, working with fan zones. But we do want to make sure that our local businesses have information and the ability to, be promoted and be a part of this event. So that as many folks as possible are feeling the benefit. But I know, for example, in some of our fan zone areas, chambers, DMOs, others are, thinking about strategies of how to promote their local businesses and take advantage of some of the international visitors that'll be coming through. So I think it's going to be, incumbent on maybe there's some kind of collective effort or strategic ad space or messaging or partnerships or collaborations to get that kind of exposure, or working in coalition to raise visibility of your brand and your business in creative ways.
Great. And these fan zones that you're talking about, they're in the 9 most populated, that you did the map earlier, and all of those are being managed independently. I believe you said that. So it's the LOC is not really the point person on that. It is the local, whoever is leading the charge in those 9 different communities. So the question, that's my segue, will non-Washington State-based event and marketing agencies with global event delivery experience be eligible for RFPs? And when might the RFPs be coming out regarding fan and viewing zone needs? So I think there's an additional question in there is how do people find out who's in charge of these fan zones so they can make direct asks as well?
Yeah. So if you pass on your information to me, I can relay that to the fan zones, because I'm not sure their particular guidelines or if and when they're going to be doing RFPs. But if you drop it in the chat, I'm happy to pass it along to them. As far as Seattle FWC 26s, the LOCs, RFPs, there's an opportunities page on our website where businesses can proactively sign up and be a part of our registry, our directory, and receive updates when RFPs become available. But a lot of our work, I think, is going to be centered around the fan celebration in Seattle Center. And also on the website, I would think you can check to see if non-Washington-based businesses are eligible. I think it might just be Washington-based, but I'm not quite sure. So you want to go check that out.
Okay. Yeah, I really do like to promote that opportunities tab on your website. You got to scroll to the bottom, but that is how you elevate your business as a potential partner, correct? Oh, great. So let's talk about the draw watch party. Is there going to be a watch party at a local venue? Rumors are that maybe the global watch party will be at the Sphere, which would be really cool. But what do you know about watch parties related to the draw?
So with regard to FIFA's watch party, location hasn't been determined. There have been rumors flying around. I've never been to the Sphere, but looks amazing, and I think could be a cool place. But nothing's been confirmed with regard to FIFA's watch part or draw party. With regard to local events, TBD. So stay tuned. More to come on that. But it's definitely something we want some folks to activate around.
Great.
Because it's again, it's like one of the last one of the last milestone events before the tournament. So we know a lot of eyes are going to be watching. There's going to be a lot of interest, and so we want to try to take advantage of that.
Great. All right, we're going to start to wrap up here with a couple things. One, we're going to throw up a poll, and we're going to ask people kind of what they're curious about. So if you are in a place to respond, it's open-ended. What about the FIFA World Cup 2026 games are you most curious about? And let's just say the Seattle games. I'm not going to be able to help you on the LA games or anything like that, but go ahead, and it's open-ended, and looks like Dylan and I cannot participate, so we will catalog these. I'm not sure the timeline. I don't know how long you want to leave that up, Lee. I'm not sure. But please take a moment. We're always trying to understand what folks would find really valuable. And if it's within the chamber's scope, we will gladly do something around it. If we think it's somebody else's, we will share that resource and that information with folks.
I'll go ahead and leave it up till the end of the webinar, Lynnette.
Okay, great. And then let's just go to that last slide if you can, Lee. All right, so we have this webinar on the 17th, and it's from global game to local gain, tourism insights for Washington businesses. And so again, that will be Visit Spokane and Expedia at that event. So you can, again, this is free. It is not bound by membership. It is not geographically bound. So we really hope that those of you that have broad either customer bases or membership bases, that you would share this resource with anybody on your social or your communication platforms. We love to see folks here in these events. We learn so much just from the Q&A. And then the next slide, please. All right, and then here I put up, Lee put a QR code to our World Cup Ready website that has the knowledge manager, the newsletter, how to sign up at the very bottom, and the grants. So those are all things that you should probably bookmark and be able to visit that regularly. I think our next newsletter will come out the first week of September. I think the 3rd is what I heard on an earlier internal meeting. So sign up so you get that one at minimum. All right, thank you for the thank yous, Kalebe, if I said that correctly. And then the question about our emails. Yes, Dylan, are you able to put in the chat to all attendees, to everyone, your email?
Yeah, there you go.
And I put mine. All right. Well, we want to thank you all and wishing you all a good weekend. It's going to be what I call a redemption weekend for Seattle weather, August weather. We're going to have some great weather this weekend after last week's atmospheric river situation. So hopefully you go out and enjoy your community and visit your favorite local business. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.